Welcome back. The news in full. On behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli participated in the Board of Peace's first meeting on Thursday in Washington, D.C. Premier Madbouli delivered Egypt's address at the Peace Board meeting, which tackled the Egyptian view on the issues tabled for discussion. Premier Madbouli asserted Egypt's full support for U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for Gaza peace and reconstruction. The Prime Minister reiterated Egypt's calls for monitoring the implementation of the second phase of the ceasefire in Gaza and the mobilization of funding for the reconstruction of the enclave. The Premier further emphasized Egypt's firm rejection to any forms of annexation and called for ending Israel's contentious West Bank settlement projects. Egypt's participation comes upon an invitation from the U.S. administration. It is a part of the Egyptian efforts in support of peace and stability in the region. The Peace Board that was created by U.S. President Donald Trump is considered an international platform aimed at reaching sustainable solutions for regional and international conflicts, especially the Palestinian question. And U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday promised $10 billion, and Muslim-majority nations offered funding for and troops for Gaza as he inaugurated his Board of Peace. The story.
Members of the body had agreed to pledge $7 billion towards a Gaza relief package, and that 5 countries have agreed to deploy troops to take part in an international stabilization force to the war-battered Palestinian territory. The dollars pledged, while significant, represents a fraction of the estimated $70 billion needed to rebuild the Palestinian territory decimated after 2 years of war. Trump illustrated that Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan and Kuwait are the countries that are making pledges. The U.S. President also announced that the U.S. was pledging $10 billion for the Board of Peace, but did not specify what the money would be used for. Trump, pushing back against the criticism, said the creation of his board would help make the UN viable in the future. Meanwhile, the leader of the newly created International Stabilization Force said the plans call for 12,000 police and 20,000 soldiers for Gaza. Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Kosovo and Albania have pledged to send troops for Gaza Stabilization Force, while Egypt and Jordan have committed to train police for the efforts. Troops will initially be deployed to Rafah, a major population center where the U.S. administration hopes to first focus reconstruction efforts. The board was initiated as part of Trump's 20-point peace plan to end the conflict in Gaza. But the Gaza ceasefire deal remains fragile, and Trump's expanded vision for it has triggered fears the U.S. president is looking to create a rival to the United Nations.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Egyptians Abroad, Badr Abdelati, asserted Egypt's full support for Palestinian rights to establish the Palestinian state and the right of self-determination. Abdelati's comments came in his speech before the UN Security Council ministerial session on developments in the Middle East held at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The top diplomat delivered Egypt's statement in which he expressed Egypt's appreciation for the convening of the session at this crucial time, given the intensified regional and international efforts aimed at achieving a just settlement to the Palestinian question. The foreign minister emphasized Egypt's vision for achieving a comprehensive and just peace in the region, citing what President al-Sisi affirmed that the region has a historic opportunity to achieve a Middle East where all of its people enjoy peace, stability and a decent life within the framework of respect and sovereignty, as well as independence and territorial integrity. And during his meeting with Jordan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Ayman al-Safadi in New York, Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdelati stressed the importance of paving the way to start a serious political path that leads to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the borders of the 4th of June 1967 with East Jerusalem, Al-Quds, as its capital. The two sides also underscored the importance that the National Committee for the Gaza Strip management carry out its tasks and maintain the unity of the Palestinian territories. The two top diplomats also condemned the Israeli decisions of annexing lands in the West Bank and expanding the settlement activities as a blatant violation of international law. Also on Thursday, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Egyptians Abroad, Badr Abdulati, held a meeting with British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. The meeting tackled the latest developments in the Middle East, as Abdulati stressed the necessity of speeding up the deployment of international forces to monitor the ceasefire in Gaza. Minister Abdulati asserted on the necessity of implementing the second phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan and paving the way to the early recovery and reconstruction phase. He also affirmed his rejection of any attempts to separate the Gaza Strip from the West Bank and any attempts that would undermine the efforts of achieving a fair and comprehensive settlement of the Palestinian question. A new batch of Palestinians returning to the Gaza Strip arrived at the main square of the Rafah land crossing from the Egyptian side. A team from the Egyptian Red Crescent, the ERC, received this group to facilitate their return to the Gaza Strip in coordination with the relevant authorities and distributed meals, water and juices to them. Psychological support was also provided to the returnees. At the same time, Egyptian authorities are preparing to receive the 12th group of wounded and sick Palestinians coming from the Gaza Strip for treatment in Egyptian hospitals. Meanwhile, the 142nd Humanitarian Aid Convoy, Zaid al-Izza, began entering the Gaza Strip through the Rafah land crossing subgate. The convoy is carrying large quantities of food aid and relief supplies, including personal food baskets, flour, fresh bread, canned goods, medicines and hygiene items. It also includes trucks loaded with tents to shelter displaced people, as well as petroleum products and derivatives.